Hello everybody, I am Lillymu961 and welcome. Today I will be reviewing Blue Moon, the second installment of Alyson Noël's Immortals series. If you guys have not seen my review of the first book in this series, please click the link provided in the description below. This video will spoil the first book, so if you've not read it, I would highly recommend reading it first. From this point on, I will be speaking under the assumption that you have seen the first review, have read the first book, or don't care about the spoilers and just want to listen to me rant for a couple minutes because, oh boy, the ranting is gonna come. Let's get started. Blue Moon takes place about 2 weeks after the events of Evermore. Damon and Eva are together and are in a new phase in their relationship since the previous obstacle that prevented them from being happy together was promptly done away with. I mean, tossed aside, knocked out, it was done. Done. However, Eva is having difficulty accepting her new life as an immortal and the ambiguity of Damon's past, which he refuses to reveal to her. Following this, a new student named Roman appears at Eva's high school. With his appearance, a downward spiral ensues. Shortly after Roman appears, Damon begins showing signs of sickness, which he shouldn't have as an immortal, and it isn't long before his entire personality changes into something unrecognizable, seemingly out of nowhere as far as Eva is concerned. Convinced that Roman has something to do with Damon's odd behavior, Eva seeks help from Eva, a psychic she encountered in the previous book, and learns about the Halls of Learning, a place within the mystical realm between the living and the dead, known as Summerland, where anything is possible. Though searching for a way to help Damon with his illness and prove her suspicions of Roman correct, Eva stumbles upon information regarding something known as the Blue Moon, which can enable her to travel back in time for one night. With her life falling apart, Eva is left with a decision. She can stay in the present and save Damon, or save her family from the accident that took their lives. That is the spoiler-free version of the summary. Now that we have talked about that, let's discuss the good and the bad things about this book and what you can expect to experience if you choose to pick it up. This book introduces some new characters. These characters include Roman and twin sisters Rami and Rain, and I'm also going to be talking about a side character who was in the last book, but I didn't mention because she wasn't really important. Her name is Stacia, and she is otherwise known as the minor antagonist / bully character. So this book is much better than I remember it being. I was really surprised by how quickly I flipped through it since this book was the one I had been dreading the most for this reread. My experience reading it was so much better. And one of the reasons why it was better is because Eva is still a very engaging protagonist, and you still want to see her win. She's still relatable. Her grief for her family is still an important plot element. Her guilt for what happened to her family is still present, and it makes for a strong emotional conflict. Everything that happens in this book impacts what's to come. Narrative-wise, Blue Moon is the most important book in this series because it sets everything up in a very concise, intense, and invigorating way that just makes you want to flip through those pages. You don't want to stop because you just want to see everything resolved. And when things don't go the way you want them to, it hurts bad. But thankfully, this book is also the shortest in this series, so the pacing is quick, it's to the point, and all the emotional points hit straight to the heart. The stakes have been raised. You are continuously left wondering how Eva is going to handle these situations she's been presented with. And the book is just, it's so much better than I remember. It's substantially less dated. I don't remember seeing any references that would reflect the time it was published in, which I believe was 2009 yet again. And it's, Another great thing about this book that I'm just kind of fangirling over right now is the fact that Blue Moon also presents a much more interesting antagonist than the first book did, which is great because that antagonist is sticking around for the long haul. So yes, hallelujah, thank the Lord for a good antagonist because he shakes things up, I tell you. Oh! Another thing that is pretty cool is the fact that Haven is much less present in this book, which I loved because we've established that I do not like this chick. Like every time that I'm reading any of her dialogue, I just want to punch this girl in the face, which is probably bad, but just sometimes you just want to hit people, you know? There should be a law that you could just righteously beat down a character that you don't like, okay? Okay? Anyway, let's just move forward. The final good thing about this book that I want to mention is Ava. She's just a fun character. She provides a lot of nice humor in a story that's much heavier on the drama, and I just kind of enjoy every scene that she's in because oftentimes Ever will be questioning everything she's doing, and dude, okay, this car just went by and I didn't stop recording. You guys probably didn't hear it, but I heard it and it disturbed me. See, this is why you need the law to beat up people. Seriously? Anyway, what was I even talking about? You know what? Let's just move on to the cons. So the main reason why I was originally dreading the idea of reading through this particular book is because it is the most difficult to read through emotionally, especially in the beginning when everyone in Ever's school begins to turn on her. Some of the bullying she receives is just kind of uncomfortable to read as someone who has been bullied in the past. It's just, it doesn't feel good to reread things of that nature. So warning to those of you, if you've been bullied in the past, this could, bring back some bad memories. Now that I'm older, it doesn't affect me like it used to. But when I was in high school and I read this for the first time, these scenes were just really unpleasant. So along with that bout of unpleasantness, you start to realize in this book that Ever and Damon's relationship has a very shaky foundation. Ever wants real intimacy with Damon, but in the early part of the book, he refuses to really share anything about his past or his life with her, which makes Ever feel like she should just give in to being physically intimate with him just so he'll feel good about the relationship. And I don't like that. That's not a good message to send. And it's not something I appreciate. Also, another thing that can get a little is the fact that Ever's decision-making skills take a bit of a dive. She's a little bit more stubborn than she was in the first book, and it's rare for her to be fully rational, even though the writing would suggest otherwise. Ever's inability to play it cool or attempt diplomacy causes many issues for her within this book because she's still running around with the logic of, well, I've gone this far, may as well continue even if this isn't the best thing to do. And I'm just like, girl, no, if this isn't the best thing to do, don't do it. Are you crazy, child? Oh, Lord, what are we gonna do with you? And then, on top of that, even though Haven, that character that I really don't like, isn't in this book a whole lot, there's one line, that she says to Ever that grates on my last nerve, and the only way to explain how awful this is and just how aggravating this is to me. I have to give a bit of a minor spoiler here. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I will leave a timestamp in the description or in the comment section so that you can skip this part of the review, because I got to talk about this, okay? You just don't understand the amount of rage that I feel about this. Okay. So in chapter 21, Haven and Miles make friends with the students who have been bullying Ever, one of those being Stacia. At this point in the story, Ever believes all the students and Damon are under the influence of Roman in some form or fashion. However, though certain she's right, the fact that her friends are playing nice with people who have gone out of their way to torment her leaves her feeling betrayed, which is the natural reaction that a person would have. So she says, and I quote, "I can't believe you're friends with them. I mean, after everything they've done to me?" Now remember, Haven and Miles are supposed to be Ever's best friends. And this is what this is what this crazy lady, this is what Haven says in response. You ready for this? You may want to take a seat, okay? Because the rage is coming out now. Like, I don't want to just bombard you with it, but just be prepared. Okay. So she says, in response to Ever's concern, she says this. Did they push you? Did they shove you or trip you or make you fall on top of that rack? Or did you do that all on your own? Are you kidding me? Okay, first of all, Stacia antagonized Ever while she was trying to shop at the mall. She started filming her and calling her a witch as she's tried to go about her business. She tried to be peaceful. Ever tried to ignore the situation, and then Stacia had the audacity to grab her arm, and because Ever's psychic powers activate whenever she is touched, it startles her. So she loses her footing, and she falls into a rack of lingerie, and again, Stacia is filming the entire thing, laughing and ridiculing her. But that's not the end of it. After she films this whole debacle, she posts the footage on YouTube for everyone to see, and it's not long before the entire school is calling Ever a spaz. Who in their right mind would look at this situation and blame Ever for it? So what if she fell? Stacia went out of her way to humiliate Ever by posting it on the internet, and we all know how cruel the internet can be. Plus, she instigated this situation to begin with, and despite how hurtful this situation is to Ever, Haven just says, lighten up already, would you? They meant it to be funny. Oh yeah? Funny for who? For who? I'm not laughing. You're not laughing. And you know good and well that these same people have treated you badly, Haven. Honestly, the author has given me absolutely no reason to like this character or care about her on any level aside from how Ever feels about her and Miles. And while Miles eventually redeems himself in this series, Haven never does. I cannot stand this girl. I cannot stand her. I cannot stand her. And I'm done. No more spiraling into rage mode. I'm finished. Whew. I can't stand these types of people. They make me mad, you know? Whew. Okay. The last thing that I will mention about this plot that is kind of just off the rails and a little bit crazy, and not just crazy, but even a little bit ridiculous, is the fact that Blue Moon has this weird fixation on sex as a plot point. This book really places too much importance on the physical act of intimacy, and while Roman's ultimate plan, because you figure out early on that he's pretty much the villain. I mean, as soon as Ever sees him, she's just like, you're the villain, and he does nothing to really deny it, so this isn't even really a spoiler. You read like 3 chapters in, boom, you know. Anyway, his ultimate plan to keep Damon and Ever apart is just extremely difficult to take seriously. Even though the plan is effective, it's kind of dumb. And when you sit and think about it, it just really starts, you just think and you're just kind of like, you couldn't have come up with something a little bit more, well, I don't know, just anything else? I mean, and the reason why it's so kind of just mind-boggling to me is because this particular plot point is going to impact every novel following this one. As I record this review right now, I have already finished reading the 3rd book. In fact, I finished it yesterday. And I'm not going to get into the 3rd book today. But again, this particular plot point, Roman's ultimate plan or whatever, is going to affect the rest of this series going forward. But of course, even though I've told you about Roman's ultimate plan, you don't really know what the ultimate plan is, so hopefully I didn't actually spoil anything if you guys haven't read the book, but yeah. Anyhow, overall, Blue Moon is a really good sequel to the first book. Despite some of the problems that I have with it, the general writing and the way the story flows makes it addictive for me, and I am really glad that I gave this particular book another chance. It was just really entertaining. I'm glad that in this book Ever really has to take initiative in solving a problem, and I'm happy that she still feels like a real person responding to the after effects of trauma. grief, and bullying. The Ever of Blue Moon is still the same as the Ever of Evermore. She tries to stay strong for as long as possible, and when she makes a mistake, she does everything she can to make it right. And that's all I could really ask for in terms of enjoyment. And plus, this book introduces Roman, the obvious yet interesting antagonist. If you read Evermore and enjoyed it, you'll probably enjoy this second book too. The story presents some interesting themes and ideas. Will those ideas be expanded in the next book though? And will they be done well? The only way you'll find out without reading the third book is to check out my next review once it's up. If you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. And if you enjoy this content, be sure to leave a like and let me know, and comment your thoughts on this series in the comments below. I think I said comments twice. Now I'm the spaz. Okay, until next time, Lillymu961 is out. Bye, honey children. Mwah!